Epstein with your morning flash update for this Monday, the 11th of April, 2022, 8:25 a.m. Now remember, you have an abbreviated trading week. Good Friday, coming up this Friday, is a day of no trading, be it stock market, futures market, so they won't be open. I think we get the electronic markets that are typically open for brief periods of time, but as for the pits and the regular markets, most people will be paying attention to Good Friday, as you can imagine, then Easter Sunday right around it, and then after that it's over. We have Passover falling at the same time, so it's going to be one of these holiday themes. As we take a look at world events in Europe, and you're getting a little bit of a bid off of it in the eurocurrency, it appears that now we're into the next round of election in France. It'll be Mr. Macron versus his arch rival, Miss Le Pen. My guess is that it'll be Mr. Macron who wins. And even though there's only a 3-4% percentage point in the votes and everything for him, remember, there were 10 people on the side of Miss Le Pen that were also running. Let's assume that half the voters go for Mr. Macron. That just gets him up further. In addition, the count was very low. Only a small portion of the country actually voted. So if you get a bigger turnout, that probably favors Mr. Macron as well. So the markets are somewhat relieved. Now, nothing's in the bag, obviously, and we have another 2 weeks before the final round, but that's what's coming in the marketplace. That's my guess. In the grains, you're up again, and I'm seeing, harvest estimates for Ukraine corn and wheat, and those numbers are diving again. And one of the reasons is the war's escalating. How do you get into the fields to get anything? How do you get them moved as rail is being, if you will, curtailed quite greatly? Roads a problem. And then when they do get to the ports, there's all kinds of snafus going on there. So a lot of problems, gives that market a bid. In the stock market, there's pressure on the market because tomorrow's your CPI number. So the market's going to be very geared on it. That gearing calls for, 7.5%, 8% CPI, which is also putting bonds and notes to the downside. Notice how Bitcoin is getting hit hard today. Bitcoin has got a strong correlation to the NASDAQ again. And if you watch that, it's in my market letter this morning that I'm putting out. I ran a chart of that off Bloomberg as to that correlation. It's mind-boggling. So as goes the NASDAQ, as goes Bitcoin for the moment. These correlations come and go. Today at 11 o'clock a.m., that's Eastern time, Mr. Biden will be our president talking to India's president, Mr. Modi, about the large purchases of Russian oil that is taking place and the lack of India condemning Russian actions in Ukraine. If you look at February purchases of Indian oil, it's 90% of everything that they bought in 2021. Did you hear what I just said? So they are making up for it. They're looking at the discount and saying, we can do that, and they are taking advantage of the situation. At the same time, putting money into Russia's coffers. So there'll be talks about that. U.S. has a fine rope to walk there. They need India on their side, not to go over to the side of China and Russia. So it's a problem. Tomorrow we get U.S. CPI numbers and American real earnings. So we'll see just how the earnings come out and how they're overcoming inflation. My guess is they're not. That's going to be a real problem for the market as I see it. And you'll see that a lot of people are going to start cutting back, be it on food, going out as much. I was just reading about the airlines, and JetBlue's already saying they're raising prices and they're cutting the amount of flights because of staffing issues. You're going to see this across the whole airline industry. It's going to get very expensive. You've got to be selective on where you're going to fly, how much you want to spend, so on and so forth, because the energy bite is real, inflation is here, and it's a problem for a lot of people. Now, one of the things I'm noticing in the markets right now is they're hitting upper and lower Bollinger Bands regularly. This is indicative of markets doing this as they're going sideways in many markets trying to figure out what to do next. If you understand Bollinger Bands, you want to take the enhanced course to learn more, look at this. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein, on the road to your education.